Hello, investors. It's Don Vandenbord, Chief Investment Officer with Revere Asset Management. Today is Monday, September 30th. The audio for this edition might not be as good as normal, having some problems with the USB port picking up my microphone. But the show must go on. It is 6:05 p.m. Eastern Time, after all, and we can't wait forever. So I am coming to you from St. Augustine Beach, Florida, as usual, with tonight's Revere Roundup Daily Market Insight video. Market state, we're in an uptrend. You can see the coveted four green arrows over here indicating grow mode from our GROTECTION process. Market leaders acting just fine, and all five of the major indexes above their short-term 21-day moving average, medium-term 50-day moving average, and long-term 200-day moving average. So what happened today? End of quarter three, shakeout early in the afternoon as Jerome Powell was speaking, and he said, well, we don't have to go real fast with rate cuts, and indicated that he thought 50 more basis points was appropriate by year end. Problem is the market was pricing in 75 points, additional basis points by year end, and we had a bit of a sell off, but window dressing came in the last 15 minutes and shot up the indexes near the high of the day. So S&P 500 closed the third quarter near an all-time high, or at an all-time high close anyway, a couple points off the intraday high. So now the focus going forward is going to be on economic data that comes in and how the Fed reacts to it. And of course, we've got this little thing called an election coming up in about a little more than 4 weeks. And that'll probably have quite a bit to do with what happens the rest of the year for stock. So here are the numbers on the day. Our 21 over 21 list. We will review the new list. Up an average of 0.25%, 13 up, 3 neutral, 5 down. The big eight up 0.6%, led by Apple. RG8 is our 8 growth ETF composite, just barely positive, mixed on the day. But the one we like to see leading, FFTY, that's the IBD 50. That had a nice day. S&P 500 up 0.4%, equal weight. S&P up 0.13. NASDAQ 100 up 0.27, equal weight, down on the day, down 0.18%. Semiconductors were weak today. Dow just barely positive, mid caps up about a tenth. Russell 2000 small caps up 0.25%. Global diversified 60/40 stock and bond slightly negative. Our flagship GROTECTION portfolio up 0.23%. Got stopped on one recent buy, added two more starters to the portfolio. We'll go through that when we get through the tail of the tape and the portfolio review. So let's go with the S&P 500 here. We'll go to the 5-minute chart. This really gives you the dramatization of what happened. Kind of a slow day. Here's Jay Powell taking some questions and answers from a panel he was on today. You can see the harsh sell-off, and then we recover, put in a little cup and handle, and then 30 points up into the close over the last 20 minutes. Back to the daily chart. So during that process, we undercut, reclaimed the 8-day exponential moving average and closed at an all-time high. Let's go to the NASDAQ 100. Undercut, reclaimed the 8 today. It's right above this cup and handle pivot. That's been one of our daily keys that we're monitoring. Dow Jones Industrial Average, all-time high close as well, just up a small amount on the day. S&P 400 mid cap undercut and reclaimed the 8. It's near these recent highs, but you can see the resistance that we're running into around this 3120-ish level. Russell 2000 small caps also bounced at the 8 EMA. I've shown this before, but if you look at a monthly chart, we're not at all-time highs yet with the Russell. Above 2300 is some resistance. So those are the majors. Well, no, one other one that we like to, we might as well say there's 6 majors, because with the big influence on the Mag 7, we want to show the equal weight, which is really a truer representation of what's actually going on in big cap stocks. And you can see it bounced off the 8 EMA today. Hasn't been a huge divergence as of late. You can see relative strength line kind of going sideways, which means that it's basically in line with what the S&P is doing, as opposed to relative strength line here going back through May and into July, where it was lagging. That means that the Mag 7 is leading. Then you can see the Mag 7 sell-off turned off. Sell-off began in July, and equal weight started to outperform. Since then, we've just been chopping around sideways a little bit. Let's go to the VIX now. VIX popped when Powell started the Q&A, as you can see, but it sold off and closed near lows of the day, right around that 16 level, which is where we want to be, ideally below there. US dollar has been trending. We talked a lot about this in our afternoon meeting today. This has been trending lower, but beneath the 21-day moving average, going back to right around that time when the market appeared to be convinced that interest rate cuts were coming. This was with a CPI report that came out in early July. And a change in trend would be if this finally started to get back above the 21-day moving average. But until then, the dollar continues to tick lower. You can see we're down around this 100 level where we have found support recently. VIX dollar, next up, precious metals. Gold pulled back, broke the 8 EMA, 2-day pullback for gold, still in a very strong uptrend. GDX, gold stocks, undercut and reclaimed the 21-day moving average. We took profits on our last piece of Nugget, NUGT, the leveraged gold stocks on the pullback on Friday. And silver, SLV, broke below the 8 EMA today, still above the 21. Bitcoin, which was strong to close the week last week, had a big pullback today. Well, big relative to the market, but Bitcoin is very volatile, but down 3.4% today. Let's move on to bonds. Here's BND, the broad bond index, just trending sideways over the last week and a half, right above the 21-day moving average. TLT, breaking below the 21-day moving average and not able to get back above it. TLT, this means prices down, means yields slightly higher. So since they cut rates, longer term rates have ticked up, as you can see here on this chart, above the 21, and the slope has moved over, still below the 50-day moving average. We don't want rates, longer term rates, to start getting too high. That would be a drag on the overall market. Here's TNX, the 10-year. Same situation, has popped since the interest rate cut over the last 2 weeks. That's our inter-asset correlation charts section. Let's go to the tail of the tape. You can pause this. I'll hit the highlights. As I said, news on the day. Powell said no hurry, stocks dumped, but then I showed on the chart how we rallied and then squeezed into the close. So our day count, we're up 1, 5 of the last 8 days. 14 days above both the 8-day and 21-day exponential moving averages, coincided with that 9/11 follow-through day type action that got us back above the 21-day moving average and kicked off a rally after a shakeout that morning. That was the day after the debate between Harris and Trump. So our expectations, as long as we're above the 21, they remain positive. Sectors today, strong. Banks, healthcare, that's XLV, and real estate. On the downside, semiconductors. There's a story out there. There's a quartz plant in North Carolina that apparently is part of a big supply chain with semiconductors. And there's some stories out there that because of the flooding, that's going to be impacted, and then that would trickle over to the semiconductor supply chain. But until we hear some verification from the companies that are being possibly hit by that, it's just speculation. XLB, that's basic materials, was also up today to the downside. A break on emerging markets and international as they led last week. and also gold, silver, and gold and silver stocks down to the weak side. Portfolio changes. Micron. We liked it on the gap last week. That was a 1 day wonder. It's been sold the last 2 days, broke below the 21 today and the low of the gap. So we stopped out on that. They don't all work, and you have to acknowledge when they're not working and just move on. On the other hand, some very strong and AI data center related names, VRT and CEG. We took starters in those. We'll review these in a minute. Bottom line on the day, Q3 closes with an S&P 500 at an all-time high. Now focuses to rate cuts, the timing, and that'll be based on the Fed interpreting data. That's what Powell again reiterated, as he said in basically every press conference he's ever said. So the keys tomorrow, they stay the same things that we've been watching. Does the S&P 500 stay above this breakout level, which was a big resistance band, 56.52 to 56.90? As long as we stay above that level, the uptrend is strong in effect. And then the cup and handle pivot 485.54 on the NASDAQ 100. We undercut and reclaimed that today. So now we'll see tomorrow, Tuesday, October 1st, see how Q4 kicks off. Let's go to the 21 over 21 list. If it has a green flag, it means we own it. So let's start off with what we have. In-house Kava pulling back. There was a story intraday, somebody doing a hit piece on Kava in some New York locations. It bounced right where you wanted it to off the 21-day moving average. ITB home builders still holding on to Nail, which is a leveraged play on this as this continues to hold on well above the 21 and the 8-day exponential moving average. Flutter, second day pullback, bounced off the 8 after they raised guidance. But the guidance was sold into this 250 level when they raised it on 925. Today's low, we added to it. We own some of it in here on the break above the flat base. We added to it on that gap up. That buy is underwater. Today's low is about the line in the sand for that add. Ideally, when you see a gap like that, you want it to hold the lows of the day. Oracle continues to trend higher along the 8-day moving average. Uber, under 58, but bounced right above the 21 today. 4 days down, no heavy volume on the selling, however. Tesla, I believe they're announcing their deliveries for September, either tomorrow or Wednesday, and then 10/10, they've got that big robo-taxi event. Note the extreme relative strength that this has been showing over the last 4 weeks as we continue to run it higher. MicroStrategy, we took profits into strength on half of the position, up 20%. On Friday, a little bit of a pullback today, not surprising, with Bitcoin pulling back. NVIDIA, undercutting the 8, but bounced off the 21. First Solar, we added to this on the break above this 250 level and making a higher high on Friday, but it reversed along with the market, was down today. Volume below average on the pullback. You can see the prior 2 days volume was above average and average. But as long as it holds the 8-day exponential moving average, we'll hold that second buy, and we're profitable on the first buy. CEG pulled back near this 250 level today. When it reversed, this is when we took a position in it. We've been watching this just slightly extended from the pivot and the 8-day moving average. And VRT, when it bounced at the 8-day exponential moving average today, we took a position there as well. So that's everything that we own in-house. The rest of the 21 over 21, Palantir continues to hold up extremely well. IoT, below the 8, and the 8's rolling over, so we're keeping an eye on that. SE continues to be extremely strong. It hit pivot plus 20% last week. Axon, also at pivot plus 20%. Shark Ninja. See, sometimes they hit pivot plus 20% and you should take profits. That's one of O'Neill's rules, at least partial profits. Sometimes it just continues to ride higher, and that's what Shark Ninja is doing. Along with the relative strength line, that's showing true strength. Sprouts, still continuing to trend higher slowly, but the relative strength line is confirming that move higher. Guidewire, at nothing but accumulation after this big gap up on its earnings report. Above average volume and up 2.8% today. F5 taking a little bit of a break after some strength on this flat base breakout. DoorDash, 2-day pullback. positive today, still above the 8-day moving average. And Zillow, keep an eye on this. Um, Note the heavy volume on the move up, lighter volume on this pullback, but there's been a lot of red over the last 8 or 9 sessions. And we did break below the 8-day moving average today, still above the 21, showing relative weakness, certainly, after this initial strength. So something we're keeping an eye on. That was down the most in the 21 over 21 list today, and that is the last stock. And that'll wrap it. As always, like to hear from you. Really enjoyed being at the IBD Founders Club event in Las Vegas over the weekend. Met a lot of fantastic people. Really enjoyed talking markets with them. They had some great presentations. We'll talk more about that on the podcast this weekend. And I'd like to hear from you, as always. The email's don@revereasset.com. If you're watching on YouTube, we reply to all comments. The phone is 855 Real Wealth. That's 855-732-5932. If you're interested in becoming a client, my partner Dan Stewart can be reached. Dan@revereasset.com. He'll answer all your questions, get to know you, and get the ball rolling if you decide to come on board. Our flagship portfolio, named GROTECTION, dual mandate, grow assets during uptrends, protect them during downtrends. The protection process always starts with a break below the 21-day moving average. Sometimes things get worse, it breaks the 50. Sometimes that break of the 50 will hold at the 20-week or 100-day moving average, which is what it did a few weeks ago. Sometimes we break the 200-day moving average, and that's when we get the heck out of the way, because you can see here the bear market of 2022, all the real damage occurred below the 200-day moving average. Historically, every bear market, without fail, occurs below that black line, the 200-day moving average. That's when we get to a maximum defensive position and focus on preserving capital. That's the protect part of protection. And with that, I'll wrap it for Monday, September 30th. This is Don Vandenbord with Revere Asset Management, telling it like it is. Thanks for listening, and have a great day.